Howdy, and welcome back to Celebrating Vintage Model Kits. Gonna look at another wood kit, this one from StromBecKer. This is a kit of the Swift 125. It's made by Globe. They made a couple of different versions of the 125, one with an 85 horsepower engine and one with a 125 horsepower engine. And as you can see here, this one is equipped with floats. So this kit was first issued in 1948 by StromBecKer. It is kit number C40, and it comes in 1/48 scale. They did issue this as a land plane version, and that was kit number C39. So we haven't talked too much about StromBecKer before. We have seen one kit from them, but we haven't really talked much about StromBecKer as a company. There is a very good video from Max on Max's models where he goes into a full in-depth dive into StromBecKer. So I highly recommend, if you want to learn more about the company, taking a look at his video. But StromBecKer started out in 1911, a gentleman by the name of Johann Fredrik Strombeck. He's a Swedish gentleman, and he was known as Fred. He started a small woodworking company using scraps that he got from the back of the John Deere plant. He was working with them doing paperwork and shipping for them, and noticed that there was piles of these scrap pieces of wood, and he thought, yeah, hey, maybe I can do something with that. So he decided to form a little company. He met up with a gentleman by the name of J.D. Becker that joined him in this adventure, and they became incorporated as StromBecKer Manufacturing Corporation. And they made a lot of small little wooden things, a lot of handles for tools, things of that nature. World War I, they came along and they were able to secure a contract with the government for 100,000 tent poles, and that allowed them to be able to purchase land to build a new building. They had previously been working on literally a shack on the backside of supposedly the John Deere factory, but other things say that it may have been down the street from there, but it was a tiny little shack of like 20 square feet. It was really small. So they were able to literally buy an entire city block. They built a 2-story building on it. By 1921, they put 2 more stories on it. By 22, they put another story, so it ended up being a 5-story building. In 1919, they started making their first toys, a 10-pin set. Didn't sell well, but they started doing well with dollhouse furniture, other kinds of toys, little building block sets, things of that nature. So that was mainly during the 20s. Continue making other wood stuff as well. 1928 was their first airplane. It was kind of a loose, stylized version of the Spirit of St. Louis that sold really well for them. In the 30s, they started making kits, mostly train kits, and their first airplane actual kit came out in 1936. It was one of the China Clippers. It was kit number A51, and sales of that kit exceeded 1 million. So that got them into making more wood airplane kits. These were all solid kits, solid wood kits. They weren't of any particular scale. They were mainly box scale. But then when World War II came along, they got some contracts to help produce more stuff for the government, including some recognition models. And they also produced a series of 1/72nd scale spotter models. There were 6 aircraft in that series: a P-40, a B-26, an A-20, a B-17, a B-24, and most unusually an SBC-4 Helldiver, which turned out to be their only biplane kit that they made. It's a little odd for a spotter model during World War II to make a Helldiver. So they also produced other stuff like tanks and ships, guns like cannons and things like that. So that took them through the war years. Post-war, they continued with 72nd scale kits. So they started making some of the other aircraft, the B-29. They made, some transports like a C-47, DC-3. And they became known as almost like the premier maker of these solid wood kits. Their kits became, they were all hardwood. They were really finely carved, so that way you really didn't have to do a whole lot of sanding and stuff to get a good-looking model. Post-wars, when they started including metal parts for like landing gear and propellers, it's really made some good-looking solid wood kits for that time period. They also started making in 48 scale series of light planes, which this is one of. By the 50s, they were starting to make some jets in solid wood. They've made larger ones like a B-47, but a lot of the fighters and experimental aircraft. They started including some injection molded parts into their kits. We saw one of those in one of our previous videos of the Lockheed XF-V1 Salmon. So I'll put a link in the description for that video as well too. And their first all-plastic kit was in 1955, the XF-2Y Sea Dart, which I actually have that one in the collection, so we'll be reviewing that at a future time. They made a few others, another China Clipper, since the Clipper had done so well for them before. They made that one in plastic. Temco TT1 Pinto, that mold eventually made its rounds into Aurora. A T-37, which also went to Aurora, and a few other ones. I think they made like a Bell X-1B, X-1A. And late 50s, they made a series of vacuum flying kits. I have one of those in my collection as well, so we'll be taking a look at that in a future video. And late 50s, they were also one of the producers of kits for Disney with their Tomorrowland stuff, the TWA Moonliner, Man in Space, kits that were sold at Disneyland and also at hobby shops. So that's a little bit about StromBecKer. They didn't survive much past that. By early 60s, they were pretty much done with making models. They got sold. Family sold the company, and they were pretty much done with it. But like I said, watch the video from Max, and you'll get a more in-depth about StromBecKer. So let's look at the kit itself here. So it's a fairly simple box. It's a folded box with flaps on the end, a side opening, and it's just done in basically three colors. The green, blue, and a little splash of red. So real simple line. Got a couple of women flying the Swift here over a beach area and stuff. So it's first in solid models, which they really were. I think they were made some of the best. So Swift 125 seaplane, all parts ready shaped, no carving tools needed. So all you really need to do is just do the fine finishing on these, just sand them a little bit, and you got yourself a good looking kit. So here you've got a little bit of information about the 125 and the contents. You get your ready shape parts, glue, sandpaper, wood filler, illustrated step-by-step instructions, super detailed decals, metal propeller, no carving tools needed. On the opposite side, why StromBeckers first, and here's where they got the company, the StromBecKer. Moline, Illinois. Western pine, not balsa, ready shaped parts, fully detailed, sandpaper, glue. Here we've got the end with the kit number, quarter scale, the wingspan of 7.5 inches. Other end's the same. On the back side, gives you a lot of information about the kit itself, so you can see what you're getting. Here's all the parts laid out, all the stuff you got, showing how simple it was to put it together, and kind of an artist rendition of what it would look like when it's all done. So again, more information about how This is a real easy kit to put together and will look really good. So let's take a look on what we got inside here. Sounds like Lincoln logs falling out of here. And I think that is everything. All right, so let's take a look at what we got here. Here's our instruction sheet. So we got some photographs of the real plane. That's kind of nice. You know, detail shot of the interior, plane in flight, and it looks like this is. I've seen this photograph when I was doing my research, and it didn't have floats, so the floats are artist rendition for sure. The engine, stuff about how to get yourself prepped, how to prepare your fuselage, preparing the wings, the tail, giving you the correct angle for the tail, which is nice, and how to do the floats. Also, the wing fillet looks like here. Some finishing touches, breakdown on kit parts, to add details. So if you're missing parts, you could send it in here. On the back side, you've got this great 3-view illustration. All this information about the aircraft, printed in 1948. Exploded view of assembly. Really nice set of plans. So we've got, somehow I've ended up with 2 sets of decals in here. Pretty thorough set of decals for solid wood kit. You've got decals representing the plexiglass windshield, side windows, speed stripe, anti-glare panel. They're even giving you stuff for the elevators. No, that's for the intake. Wheel wells, if you're going to do the land plane version. And then the registration number. So this particular one here, this NC39336, is not an actual registration number that was ever assigned to Swift. I was able to locate a site that had every registration number for Swifts, and this one isn't, but it is pretty darn close to what was the prototype. The prototype was NX3336. So, you know, you kind of see that, you know, they either misread, you know, the photographs that they were using as reference, or they just changed it a little bit. This is the NC was the actual civilian registration, whereas NX was a prototype. So, I'll show you a couple of photographs of that aircraft here. Okay, let's look at the rest of the contents of the kit here. We've got a little pouch, which includes glue, strong water resistant, best results, follow directions, and you got the directions on the back. It's made by Craft Products of Chicago. And then here we've got wood filler. So filling in all your joints with the directions again on the back. We have a piece of sandpaper and a flat stick, which you could cut out and glue onto here as well, make a nice sanding stick. And then this is a little pouch that has in here are the propeller and the landing gear, or the pontoon struts, or in the land plane version that would probably include the landing gear struts. So that's included in here. I'm not going to open this one, to keep this original. And here we have a piece with some die cut parts for the tail. Then here's the fuselage. You can see, compared to a lot of other solid wood kits that you just got a block of wood, this one has got a lot of carving already done to it. Very nicely done. So minimal amount of sanding would be needed to finish this up. And then here's your wings. Again, minimal amount of sanding. It's already got a pretty good airfoil going. Just have to kind of finish that off. And then you've got these pegs to go in the hole there, and nicely done at the dihedral that you needed for it. So it's another challenge with a lot of the old wood kits, solid woods, is getting the dihedral, correct was hard. So you see some of these old kits built, quite often, they have no dihedral at all. The wings, everything's just flat. And finally, we got the pontoons. Again, nicely put together. Pre-drilled holes for the struts. And the bottom of the wing has a little groove for the strut to go into the bottom of the wing. So pretty neat little kit. Not a lot to it, but very well made. This would build up really nice. So a little bit more about the Swift. Globe was the maker of the Swift. The GC-1 was the actual model number. A total of 1,521 were built. Originally designed in 1940 by a gentleman by the name of R.S. Pop Johnson. The war started before they could get production going. So after the war was over, it was redesigned as an all-metal aircraft. The previous one was fabric-covered and wood. So it became an all-metal aircraft. And that redesign was done by K.H. Bud Knox. A total of 408 of the GC-1As, which were the 85 horsepower motor ones, were built. It was then re-engined with a 125 engine, a Continental C-125 six-cylinder engine. That became the GC-1B, and 833 of those were built. Globe got themselves into some financial trouble, and Temco had a large stake in them. And so Temco ended up taking over the rights to build it, and they built another 260 of them, ending in about 1951. There was an interesting variant of it. Temco tried to market it as a primary trainer to the Air Force, a TE-1 Buckaroo, a little bit of changes to it. The Air Force didn't end up buying it, but they did sell a few to... where did it go? I think it was Brazil. They sold a couple demonstrators to like Greece and Israel and Peru, or a couple of small countries like that. But they ended up only making 10 of those Buckaroos. So if you're looking to make a Swift, as far as I could see, there are no plastic kits of the Swift. So this is probably about the closest you're going to get to making something like a regular type of a kit. There were a number of stick and tissue models made in the late 40s. Cleveland made one in 1/12 scale. Comet did one in 17th. Capital and Keelcraft both did a 1/18 size. McGow at 1/22. There's a company recently that's been remanufacturing the Monogram Speedybuilt series, and they decided to make a whole brand new kit of the Swift in the Speedybuilt style. So that is out there, and that's in 1/24. Continental made another one in 1/29. Comet did another Structo Spee built version in 1/44. Finally, Marecraft, they also did a solid wood kit in 48 scale like this, and also one in 1/72. So that's about it on the Swift. So if you like this plane and you want to make yourself a kit, I don't think you could go wrong with this one here. Not a whole lot of extra work needs to be put into it to I think make a pretty snappy looking little plane. Well, that's about it. Have you built one of these before? Any of the other StromBecKer solid woods? Let us know in the comments if you got a built one of these, or actually any solid wood built kits. Send in some pictures of that. There's not a lot of those pictures out there, so it'd be nice if some of our viewers could send in some of those so we could share with others what these look like when they're built up. Well, that's it for today. Thanks for watching, and have yourselves a great rest of your day.